that somebody like Jefferson next week doesn't get still staying in the driver's seat in that I-55 conference. That was a huge game against Pius and Jefferson. With now Pius having the one loss, now they have to make sure they don't stub their toe along the way. And this St. Vincent game is going to be one that I've already got highlighted as well too. So, yeah, looking at Jefferson, I mean, Mikey Frisk, how about the 10 tackles, and Tyler Crater and yes, once again, we talk about that collective team effort. Great job.
Absolutely.
Do we want to mention anything about the Crystal City Confluence game?
We did talk about that, right?
Okay.
Yep.
It's been a long week. Let's just put it that way, guys. Let's round it out here. Hallsville 42 and Grandview 7. Marquette 28, Eureka 14, Rittner 48, Fox 25. Let's start with Jeff on this one.
Really, Hallsville, Grandview having to make the long trip to Hallsville. Hallsville's a very good team, and they showed it. Nash Moore did everything he can, 10 rushes for 65 yards on a very tough night for the Eagles offense, but he did have 13 total tackles in that game. But one player does not a team make, and Hallsville just has too many bodies, too many good athletes to put out there right now. They moved to 3-1 on the season. Grandview at 2-2, but Grandview still has their sights on a winning, and it can be achieved. Looking at their schedule down the road, they're going to have some tough games, but it can happen over there for them. The other games, we said Fox Rittner. Rittner's very good. Aiden Smith did what he could for Fox, 20 rushes, 171 yards, but Rittner's a very good team this year. And
Marquette and Eureka.
Marquette comes from behind in that game to win on the road at Eureka. Big win for the Mustangs in that one. 28-14. Yeah, Eureka was ahead 14-7 in the third quarter, and Marquette stormed back and won that game. I was quite surprised that Eureka dropped that one at home to the Mustangs. Also, I want to mention too, Ladue 40 over Oakville 33. Oakville led that game 33-7 in the second quarter, and Ladue had to bring in their backup quarterback. Their starting quarterback got injured, and he engineered that comeback in that game for Ladue to finally outlast Oakville 40-33. So that was another great game.
Yes, that Marquette Eureka game you were talking about, exactly right. I mean, it was 14-14 in that fourth quarter when all of a sudden a pick six by Marquette puts them up, and then they add another one. Hobelman had a passive day, at the yard, but that Oakville Ladue game, 40-33, and Ethan 12 carries, 121 yards, 2 TDs, but he had 9 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and the young man has 15 tackles for loss on the season. So he is putting himself not only offensively but defensively in a great position as well too. As in the area, he is amongst the top 20 in the area rushers. He's number 19 with 447 yards and 8 TDs.
The Breeze Dental Care Team consists of dedicated individuals who are caring, kind, and friendly. Our staff is here to ensure a pleasant experience during your visit to our office. Our team includes experienced and energetic people whose goal it is to communicate well with our patients and provide the best care possible. Providing preventative, restorative, and cosmetic care. Schedule a visit by calling 636-937-303 or find us on the web at breezedentalcare.com.
The House Bar and Grill at your Festus Pasta House is your place to watch all local high school sports live. That's right, I said live. Come in and enjoy all local high school sports brought to you live on our 5 big screen TVs from Livestream STL. Also enjoy our happy hour menu, which includes half-price pizzas, discounted appetizers, and drink specials. We are the best place to gather for your local high school sports brought to you by Livestream STL at your Festus Pasta House on Highway A, where it's always a great time.
Let's take a look at this week's Week 5 matchups, guys. And we're going to go through them all, and you guys just pick off which game you want to talk about here. Eureka at Oakville, that'll be our live stream STL game of the week. DeSoto at Windsor will be at live stream STL South. Fox at Seckman. Gateway STEM will be taking on Crystal City. St. Pius heads to Herculaneum. Northwest at Marquette. Valley Catholic at St. Vincent. Bayless at Jefferson. Grandview at Perryville, and that'll be on Thursday. And then Hillsboro at Festus. And we will start with Matthew.
Well, because I know Jeff is going to have a lot to talk about with this, because I think this Thursday game with Perryville and Grandview, both at 2-2 in the I-55 conference, that's going to be a precursor to the other big game, which to me I think is going to be Pius and Herky. And I say that with all due respect. I mean, again, you put the pads on like everybody else does. Could this be a sleeper week where Frank Ray and the Lancers just get caught looking past Herculaneum for whatever reason? Because right now Pius can't afford to have another win the way Jefferson's rolling right now. So 3-1 Pius heading over to Herky for a potential chance to ring the bell at home. I mean, I-55 conference games, because you also have Valley going to 2-2 St. Vincent. So, Jeff, I think things could get pretty interesting.
Right. I think, looking at this week's schedule, just going down the list, guys, the two games that I actually have circled are the Grandview-Perryville game on Thursday. I think that's going to be a very intriguing matchup. Perryville's at home. I might give them the slight edge just because of that, but I think that will be a pretty competitive contest. And, of course, Hillsboro at Festus. Festus 3-1, Hillsboro 4-0, but Festus playing at home. I'm sure that Coach O'Fadale will have some tricks up his sleeve against the Hawks over there. Our game, DeSoto at Windsor, also intrigues me a little bit, guys. And you've got 1-3 DeSoto going into 2-2 Windsor, and the Owls, they've got two. Those victories are not over conference foes. They're not over Mississippi area red teams, and it might be a whole other thing when they get to a team. Even though it's DeSoto and they're in the cellar right now, they're still going to have a little larger pool of players to choose from, a little more physical. I think this game's going to be a good old, strap on that helmet extra tight, run the ball, both teams 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and who's going to, the big uglies up front are going to decide that game. And I've even put in my preview this week, guys, I'd be surprised if there were 5 or 6 passes thrown in that game. I really would. In fact, I'd take the under on that.
I was just going to ask, what's the over-under on that one, right?
Well, I got to say, though, having Austin Bearden in the booth with me last week, because he did the Week 1 Windsor-Herky game,
right,
and was with me for that Windsor-to-Berg game. And I know just from the film that we had seen from live stream for that Week 1 game, the Herculaneum defense in that heat and everything couldn't get off the field. This last game against DeBerg, their offense couldn't get off the field. So, I mean, the whole, in his analysis it was just like a completely different Windsor team. And if this is the team that can keep the same wheels turning, which, again, on paper is what I thought DeBerg was going to do going into that game, and Coach Funston completely flipped the script on everything. So, yeah, gentlemen, I say this DeSoto-Windsor game, if there's a chance that somebody can pull out a passing game, because we know it's going to be smash mouth football up and down the field. But if ball control is going to be the answer, this DeSoto-Windsor game is going to be a classic, and glad we're able to cover it.
Absolutely.
Matt, how do you feel about Eureka at Oakville? 2-2 Eureka going into 3-1 Oakville.
You know what? I think if this game would have been at Eureka, I might have given Eureka the upper hand on this one, but I think I'll take Ethan Venable at home on this one. But I'm going to say, you talk about some teams that are going to punch each other in the mouth. this could be one of those games where it's only like a 21-20 ball game, something to that effect. That I think it's going to be close knit, but don't be surprised if you see each team rushing the ball 45, 48 times collectively.
Hey, y'all, it's Jeff from Case and Bucks. Thanks for watching the games today. We appreciate all your business all year long. Don't forget, we've got awesome wings, we got amazing burgers, we got salads like you wouldn't believe. Come check us out. We have barbecue on Thursdays. We have Southern Nights on Wednesdays. We've got bingo on Tuesdays. We can't wait to see you all. Thanks a bunch, and we look forward to having a great summer with y'all.
It is now time for our honorable mentions segment here, our brand new segment this year on Upon Further Review. Our honorable mentions this week from Crystal City, Cannon Bolton, 12 rushes, 190 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Jefferson's defense giving up 6 points per game. That's what they've been averaging all season long in their offense. They had 5 receivers combined for 212 yards and 3 touchdowns, so we decided to give that to the entire team. So great effort on the Jefferson Blue Jays side there. From Hillsboro, Peyton Brown, 5 rushes, 77 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also had 2 receiving plays there for 90 yards and a touchdown. So kudos to Peyton Brown. Just continues to crank out numbers. And finally, from Oakville, we talked about Oakville a little bit. Ethan Venable, 12 rushes, 121 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Guys, this is your chance to shine on these guys. Let's jump it over to Jeff here first, and we'll talk about these honorable mentions.
Well, guys, I was just struck by the fact, and I know we didn't plan it this way, but we've got 4 honorable mentions from the 4 different conference levels. We've got the Independent, Crystal City, and Bolton, and somebody better stop feeding that kid fertilizer. That's all
Right.
I got. He is running like crazy. Jefferson, of course, from the I-55, a great team effort. I'm very impressed with their defense and the leadership of their middle linebacker, Mikey Frisk out there. Also, as you mentioned, Crater earlier, those 2 guys are the inside guys, and they really control things for the Blue Jay defense. And, of course, you got Nate Breeze back there playing center field for him on defense as well. That's always a luxury to have. Hillsboro, Peyton Brown, you've got the representative there from the Mississippi area Red Conference, of course, and we've seen Peyton. I mean, he has been consistent every single game this season. Well, it'll be great to see what he does this week against the Tigers. And then, of course, this big suburban team, Ethan Venable. I'm glad we've got him on this week. He's obviously a special talent, guys. You don't see too many kids at the big schools anymore play. There's kids that play both ways at the big schools in the suburban conference, but not with the domination that he has, both in rushing the ball and on defense. And he's just a special player, and I don't know what his future plans are. Hopefully we'll get to interview him one of these weeks. But I can foresee some football in this young man's future at the next level. What do you think, Matt?
I totally agree, Jeff, wholeheartedly. Seeing Ethan Venable firsthand, covering him, that, again, 19th in the area in rushing, but it's the tackles, the 9 tackles, the 15 tackles for loss. I mean, so that's getting behind the line of scrimmage, and that's sticking your nose in there and getting dirty week after week. You look across town there at Hillsboro and Peyton Brown, again, dynamite in a small package. 5 rushes, makes the most of it, 77 yards, and what he's done on the season. I mean, when you're averaging, like just in that game, close to 8, over 12 yards a rush. I mean, that's serious football. Look at Crystal City. I totally agree. I don't know what Bolton's been eating, but the Wheaties have got to be a thing for him with those 17 carries, 190 yards. But I think, gentlemen, looking at the whole team play of Jefferson, again, they're not going to shock you with the ground game. The 29 rushes, 59 yards. You take out Schnitzler's 1 carry that he lost 13 on. 28 carries, 72 yards. So they didn't crack 100. But it's the passing, and to me, I think it's the accuracy of Cole Williams that 15 to 25 for 211. I mean, he's 10th in the area in yards passing. But the one nugget that I like to dive into upon further review, 1 INT in 75 attempts.
Wow.
That's huge. I don't care what level you're on, whether you're class 1, whether you're independent, class 6.
Right.
1 interception 75 times you chuck the ball up will get you good results, if not great results, every time.
And at the high school level, that's what really separates him and his skill set with a lot of other quarterbacks who might try to force the ball into a coverage in a situation out of desperation. He's very astute at just throwing the ball away. And you don't see that very much. You'll see guys try to make a play and they'll try to do too much at the high school level. But he's very smart in that. And that's why his completion rate might not be as high, but his turnover rate is very low because of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, guys, appreciate this week's. We wrap up week 4 here, and very interested to see what week 5 brings us as we wrap things up here for Upon Further Review. Again, don't forget our playoff, our games that we're covering this week here. Our main game here between the Eureka Wildcats and Oakville Tigers. It'll be a 6:45 start for our pregame, and then we'll also have the DeSoto Windsor game at 6:45 as well. Make sure you check that out. For Ray Halbrook, for Matt Bates, for Jeff Whitener, all of us here at Upon Further Review, thanks so much for being with us, and we'll see you next week.